Hey everybody, just doing a review for this Oraimo 120 watt charging station. And so just taking a look at the box that the charger comes in, right over here, it tells you a bit about the specifications. It does feature two AC outlets and they're able to output 1250 watts in total. And the charging port section is able to output 120 watts of charging power in total. And also, the great thing about this Oraimo charger in comparison to the other 120 watt wall charger that I've reviewed, also from Oraimo, is that this one comes with a Type-C to Type-C charging cable. And just taking a look over at this side just gives you a few tidbits of information. And over on this side, it does give you the specifications of the charger. This is pretty confusing to look at. That's why I'm going to be looking at Oraimo's product page over on Amazon. They have a pretty easy to understand type of chart, so it's going to be a lot less confusing than this. But in case you want to take a look at the specific amperage and voltage output depending on how many devices you're charging at the same time, there it is. And so yeah, just some nice packaging right there. And so what's included in the box, as I mentioned before, you do get a Type-C to Type-C charging cable. I'm not too sure how long this is, but I'll put it on the screen once I figure that out. But yeah, a pretty high quality Type-C to Type-C charging cable. It is braided. You also get the warranty card and the manual right over here. And so the charging station itself right here, it does have a 5-foot power cord, so you can have easier placement of the charger. It does have a 4.5 by 2 inch by 1.5 inch form factor. And so yeah, I mean, overall it's a pretty small charger for what you're getting. Two AC outlets right over here, one, two. In total, they're able to output 1250 watts. Max output of the charging section is 120 watts, as I mentioned before. And when you plug in the charger, the green LED power light right over here turns on. And really not much else to say about it. I'm just going to go ahead and start testing it out. I'm going to start testing out the charging ports first. And then once I've maxed out with the charging ports, I'm going to connect a heater to one of the AC outlets and set it to high to see if I'm actually able to power an appliance and charge devices at the same time. And I will be using this AC180 power station to power this charging station to see the total wattage output that's going on when I'm charging devices and powering the heater at the same time. And I am working on a review for this power station as well. That will be out soon, hopefully. But I got a lot of other reviews that I'm working on as well. But yeah, let me go ahead and get everything together to start the charging testing, and I'll be right back. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you guys about the charging output specifications as well that I mentioned before. So yeah, right over here on the Amazon product page for this charger, they have this pretty helpful chart. And so if you're charging a single device at a time from the Type-C ports, each of the Type-C ports are going to be able to output 100 watts of power delivery. If you're charging a single device from the Type-A port, it's going to be able to output 30 watts. And so when it comes to two-port charging, you can see right there, this is like where the power allocation becomes, quite a bit split. And so, for example, if I'm charging two devices at the same time from the C1 and C2 port, each of these ports right over here are going to be able to output 60 watts. But as you can see, I'm not going to go through each of the charging configurations, but there it is. In case you want to make note of it. And you can also take a look at it on the Amazon product page for the charger. 3-port charging, things get a little less complicated. So if I'm charging 3 devices at the same time from all the Type-C ports, C1 is going to be outputting 45 watts, C2 is going to be outputting 45 watts, and the C3 port is going to be outputting 30 watts. And so that 120 watt max output for the charging port section is just really helpful. You're going to be able to fast charge multiple devices at the same time. And for charging 4 devices at the same time, C1 and C2 are going to be able to output 45 watts, while the Type-C and Type-A port are going to be sharing, it looks like 24 watts. So you're going to lose that fast charging from the C3 and the Type-A port. So just something to know when it comes to charging 4 devices simultaneously. But yeah, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start testing it out right now. I do have the charging station plugged into the power station right over here. As you can see, the power light is on. It's pretty dim. It's barely noticeable, but you can probably see it right there. I'm going to start by charging my accessories power bank from the C1 port, and I'm going to go to the C2 and C3 port to see if each of these Type-C ports are able to output 100 watts of power delivery when you're charging a single device at a time. And yeah, it looks like I'm able to get about 90 watts. That's about 100 watts right there. And let me go ahead and plug in the power bank to the C2 port to see if I'm able to get the same 90 watts as well. Okay, and so this is the charging input from the Type-C, from the C2 port on the Oraimo charging station. And it looks like I'm getting 91 watts, same as the C1 port. And so yeah, C2 and C1 work the same way. Let me plug in my power bank to the C3 port. And so this is the C3 port charging. And yeah, charging is the same as C1 and C2. So each of the ports, and so each of the Type-C ports on this Oraimo charging station function the same way. They're each able to output 100 watts of power delivery when you're charging a single device at a time from them. And let me go ahead and test out some multi-device charging as well. Alright guys, so in this case I do have my Accenture's power bank right over here charging from C1. My base's power bank is charging from C2, and each of them are charging at 60 watts. In these specifications, it says that each of these ports should be outputting 60 watts. And so, yeah, I mean, charging power allocation is working how it's supposed to. And let me go ahead and just plug in 3 devices at the same time. Alright guys, so I'm back charging 3 devices at the same time. I do have my Lenovo laptop charging from the C2 port, and the Excite's power bank is charging from the C1 port. And I switched my base's power bank to charging from the C3 port because I knew my Lenovo laptop wasn't going to be charging from the C3 port because the C3 port is outputting 30 watts right now. And so just taking a look at the power allocation sheet on the product page, so the first C1 and C2 ports are outputting 45 watts, and that's how I'm able to charge my Lenovo laptop, which is currently charging at about 35 watts right there. Accenture's power bank is charging at 45 watts, and this base's power bank is charging at about 30 watts right now. And as for the max output for the Oraimo charger currently, it looks like it's at 120 watts. Yeah, just as the max output of the charging section is for the charger. And so that's 3 devices charging at the same time for this Oraimo charger. Let me go ahead and plug in my Galaxy Note 9 to the Type-A port to see what happens now. Alright, so I did plug in my Note 9 to the Type-A port on the Oraimo charging station, and charging power for my Lenovo laptop is still continuing to charge at 35 watts, and the charging power for the Accenture's power bank looks like it's still at 45 watts right here. Yeah, so 35 right there and 45 watts right there. And the base's power bank is probably charging at about 12 watts because I think the current output of the C3 and Type-A port is 24 watts combined. But yeah, there we go. I mean, you can potentially charge 2 laptops at the same time from C1 and C2 and have probably a tablet and a phone charging from C3 and Type-A when you're charging 4 devices at the same time, that is. And just taking a look at the max output of the charging station. Oh, I gotta turn on the screen. Okay. I'm at about 116 watts for the output of the Oraimo charging station. And also, let me go ahead and plug in my Lasco heater to see if it has any interference with the charging. Alright, you guys, so just back with the Lasco heater, I have it plugged in right over here to the AC outlet on the right for the charging station. I'm going to set it to its high setting, which is like the default setting when I turn on the heater. And so I'm just going to see if that has any interference with the devices that are charging from the charger. And also you can probably hear the fan from the Blue Yeti power station also turning on. But yeah, it looks like charging is continuing without any interruption. And let me take a look at the output for the Oraimo charger as well. Yeah, so on its high setting, this heater has about like I think like a 1400 watt max output. And yeah, everything's going smoothly right here. I'm able to power a heater and charge 4 devices at the same time from this Oraimo charging station, and it works flawlessly. However, I wouldn't recommend using this high wattage of a heater because the max output of the AC outlet section for this charging station is 1250 watts. I'm going a bit overboard with this heater, so it might cause damage to the product. I'm not too sure, but for testing purposes, I just want to push it to its limit. All right, guys, that is my review for the Oraimo 120 watt charging station with 2 AC outlets. This is actually a pretty cool type of charging station. I think it's like one of the best type of chargers that I've ever reviewed, mainly because of the AC outlets. Because I was able to charge 4 devices simultaneously. I left my Lenovo laptop, the Accenture's power bank, the base's power bank, and my phone at the same time without any interruption, even when I was powering the heater right over here. I will have a link to the product page for this charger down in the description below. I will also have a link to the review article over at chargerharbor.com. You can also find that down in the description below. And I will see you all on the next video. All right, goodbye.